Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a re-review of the Salnotes 0V2 and to go from there. Before I go on further, I want to go and put some notes on the screen. Please note that whatever is in the notes is a little bit different from what's in the video. Okay, great. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this IM and to go from there. For the entire video, I used the black stock ear tips. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, if I actually was going to kind of describe the tuning of this IEM, I would say it's like a grainy, low resolution, but it's kind of like tuned neutrally with a slight bass boost is the best way I could describe it. It's kind of like the best way I could explain it. This is like a poor man's or poor person's like Truth Ear Pure in a way. It has that neutral warm kind of tendency, but this is just like thinner and grainier is the best way I could explain it. So it's like if you want an upgrade over this, I would say get the Truth Ear Pure is basically what I would say. Okay, so the bass on here, I would actually give it a grade of B. The thing is, like it actually has a good amount of thump all throughout and has some impact, but it can sound a little muddled and low res, but it has flashes of brilliance. But I would give it, I don't feel right giving it a C. I think it's definitely a B for bass. So this is definitely one of its strengths. Sub bass sounds more like, I would say, correct. So when I listen to the song, I'm not thinking, dude, you need way more sub bass. Or I don't feel like it's below correct, or it just feels like it's more correct for the sub bass in the background. Surprisingly, well done on bass, and I actually do feel like maybe from a more simplistic standpoint, but from observation from watching a lot of IEMs, cheaper IEMs, they can do bass. Bass can be executed well. I think where things fall apart is like mids and vocals and treble. Because it's very easy to get too hot with treble. But what I'm trying to tell you is this is pretty good with bass. All right, female vocals. I'm going to go and give this a grade of C. So the thing is, it has flashes of brilliance. Like there's times where I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Like that's how it should sound. But then later on, it just sounds overall like pretty bad. And the issue is, the way I can explain it is, and I actually said this in my last video, and I think that still holds up. I'm going to give you 3 analogies. So analogy number 1 is basically it sounds like the singer, okay, is singing through like a really cheap microphone. I said the Toner U9. That's a $20 microphone. And basically it's like someone trying to take that recording and trying to fix it. So they're basically, but what already is there is already cooked. It's basically you're singing in with a cheap microphone, but then they're toning down the sibilance, they're adding warmth that wasn't there before. They're trying to do what you can with this cheap, USB tinny ass sounding microphone, and that's what it sounds like. It sounds like someone's trying to fix someone's voice, but they were recorded on a bad mic. Is that what it sounds like? The second thing is there are flashes of brilliance. There are times I'm like, oh, that sounds good, like that should sound right, and then it comes back, and the overall tonality at the areas where it's weak is that it sounds grainy, synthetic, and inconsistent. It doesn't sound thin, and the temperature of the IM actually sounds correct. Like that's like, it's not super bright, it's not super dark, like warm poo. It's like actually sounds neutral. It sounds correct, but it's super grainy. And I made another analogy here, but it's there's a few more analogies. I think this is a good example of a situation where I say, dude, you can't turn a $20 IM and you can't change this into like an Apfeldon X. Like this is a perfect example of this. It sounds like someone, well, we know who it is, but it sounds like someone who has really good skill with trying to make it sound, trying to EQ something that's very like limited. Like this is just like, it's like, I'm trying, boss. I'm tired, boss. I'm doing what I can. And so it sounds like, it just sounds a little grainy and kind of, but it just doesn't quite sound right. And I made this other analogy in there too. It's like, it's a little bit off topic, but it kind of gets my point across. It's like when I went to a karate class a long time ago, and the instructor goes, okay, I want you to show me like what you've learned, what you've done so far, and then I can tell you how I can help you. And he was looking at my moves, and he's like, you're doing black belt moves with a white belt skill set. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what I'm trying to say here. It's just like, it's trying to be something like way, like you could tell like this is trying to be something and it's mimicking something that's greater, but it's so limited in what it can do. It just sounds grainy, a little bit synthetic, a little plasticky. And like, if I was going to explain it, it just sounds like, honestly, it sounds like someone is singing through a cheap microphone, but someone tried to EQ it to sound good. You know what it sounds like? Let's just fucking get to the point. It sounds like someone tried to EQ Soundstage 0v1 and was like, I'm trying my best. But it's like, sorry, that's Soundstage 0v1, okay? It's not a fucking, it's not an Apple Dawn X, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, let's get on to it then. Male vocals. I'm going to give male vocals a grade of B-. Basically, it actually sounds pretty good. Like, actually, but it's not quite what I would say a grade of B. There's something just missing. Overall, I think male vocals are definitely more of its strength here. I checked my voice, I checked Chris's voice, basically, it sounds pretty good. At times, it feels like some of the vocals can sound slightly thin, but I think when music covers over it, it's very hard to tell. But overall, I would say it sounds pretty good here. Okay, how does it deal with harsh instruments? And my Richter scale is 2 scales. When the Luna harsh track comes in, how much do I have to drop the volume down, and then how many times? Okay, so in this case, I only had to drop it down once, a little bit, and after that, smooth sailing. And usually what happens is if I have to drop the volume a lot, then the voices all get compromised. Well, in this case, you don't. It's only like a little bit. So this is actually a pretty smooth IEM in dealing with harsh instruments. In terms of separation, this is pretty piss poor. Like, in my opinion, when I saw like vocals and everything and just all coming in at once, pretty bad. It falls apart. It just feels like it can't compute. It's just too much crap coming in at once, and it feels just muddled together. So separation on this is pretty jank. Soundstage is below average on this. I would actually put this in the left box. So not good. Sibilance control is actually excellent. So at regular volume, it's all 0. In other words, when you hear vocals that go tss, they're all blunted. So basically, like, you're not going to get any sibilance. Even when you crank it up, basically, it's pretty much all 0 or low. So this is very good at dealing with high, like very, very sibilant recordings. Overall, that's kind of how it sounds like. Again, this is like, it's tuned well, but the hardware is like, it's just, you get the feeling it's just not as good. Like, something is like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my overall 2 cents, right? So, you guys have a great day. Oh, goodbye.